It's time to go beyond. Hello and welcome everyone to Go Beyond, a My Hero Academia podcast. Each week we run you through the plot, differences between the manga and the anime, fan theories, and often some critical analysis of each and every episode of My Hero. This week we will be covering episode number 30 titled Climax. But before we get into that, I would like to introduce myself, Vaughn Hyde, alongside the amazing Mr. Chris Penwell. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing awesome. Yeah, I've got my drinks ready. I have a bottle of Aha, which is lime and watermelon, and I'm good to go.
You have multiple drinks or just a
yes,
drink?
I have Fit Hard Soda, pineapple. It's 4.5% alcoholic beverage, so this is the first time I'm going to drink alcohol while recording the show.
I'm gonna be honest, I thought you were just gonna stop it there and be like, this is the first time I've ever drinking alcohol. I was like, what?
No. And I won't be sip dripping this one. I will be drinking this one for sure.
Okay, have you fucking heard that shit?
Yes, I have. And I've never heard of it before. Just to give you a bit of background, Vaughn was talking about this on IndiePod, where... Yeah, explain it, I guess.
Okay, so on our most recent episode of IndiePod, which as the time that this episode goes live, you will be able to listen to it if you're a patron. If not, it'll go live this Friday. It's episode number 107. But I was asking my co-host Josh about what you call it when you pour a beverage from the air into your mouth. Because apparently, instead of just going with what would seemingly be the most rational thing, which would be a waterfall, because that's self-explanatory in many ways, some people call it a sip drip, and that is so weird to me.
Why is it so weird?
Why is that so weird? What does it even mean? You take waterfall, it 100% makes sense. The beverage falls in your mouth. You're not you're not just taking a little drippy. You're not just like a little fucking hamster popping on this bottle suspended 10 feet in the air. It's just so weird to me that people call it a sip drip. Okay, have you heard of this before, and do you use it often?
No, I've never heard of this before. I think it's a Midwestern thing, probably. But do you have
fun. Another word? It sounds like a hero. Just
it sounds like a hero
other people's beverages.
I don't know, just to take a sip, I guess. I've never heard of sip drip before, but
no, but I mean the action of it, actually doing that. Do you do that as a person? Have you ever seen anybody ever do that before, where they pour it in their mouth instead of touching their mouth to the bottle?
I've done that.
Okay, so you've done that.
Yeah.
Do you just not have a word for it?
No, I never had a word for it.
I mean, seemingly it just doesn't happen enough for you to need a word for it, I guess. But it happens all the time.
Yes.
It's kind of spooky, if I'm being 100% honest.
It's definitely not going to happen anytime soon.
Nah, dude. Nah. I mean, shoot. I'm just trying to boost my immune system. I'm licking cups everywhere. I'm like, hey, what's up? I go to restaurants, I'm just like, bleh. Just lick everybody's cups. After they use them, not before. I'm not a psychopath. But this is a My Hero Academia podcast. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about episode number 30, titled Climax, which covers pages of volume 7 of the manga, 7 through 58, which is, of course, written by the man, the myth, the legend, the Holy Spirit, some might say, Kohei Horikoshi, and animated by Studio Bones. Chris, what did you think about Climax?
Yeah, it certainly was a climax. It was really fun, really good action, and I love that special attack from Iida and Midoriya coming together to take out Stain, I guess. but not really.
Yeah, that
but
like
kind
pincer move that they use.
Yeah, that's sick.
It was pretty dope. Like, Iida got him from the back and Midoriya got him from the front. I'm surprised he didn't spin like a top, you know what I mean? But instead, he's just like, I'm gonna stab you. And Midoriya's like, fuck, my arm hurts. And Iida's like, I'm gonna kick you again, because you dumb. That shit was sweet. I like that a lot.
That's really cool.
I'm very excited to talk about this episode. I feel like mostly because, and I said this on Twitter, I'm gonna talk some shit, okay? Like, there's gonna be some shit flung in this episode, because Midoriya says something that I just think is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I have to agree.
I literally have it written down, but you know what? I used capital letters because I was that annoyed at this, and I wrote it down to make sure I'd bring it up.
Fucking dumbass.
Yeah, it's so fucking dumb, okay? But we will talk about that when we get there. So, for this episode, I enjoyed Climax. I thought it was a good episode in its entirety. I do think some things are honestly pretty weird. The fact that Todoroki's like, nah, I can't regulate my temperature, but I'm going to, like, literally shoot a fireball at this dude's face. Like, it's... I don't think I'll ever understand that rationale where he's like, I can't actually control how hot this fire is, but I'm just gonna burn the fuck out of that guy's face. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
I thought that. Yeah, when I saw that shot, I was like, holy fuck, are you trying to kill him? Jesus.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me considering Endeavor, as far as he knows, these Nomu are people. They aren't like they don't say any shit about it. Like, he knows that they might have multiple quirks, but he's just roasting brains like it's going out of style, bro. He's just like, oh, regenerate this, and he grabs his head and he freaking fries the shit out of it. And before you say, ooh, broski had like hyper regeneration, let's have a conversation about how Endeavor, literally as he does it, he says you can't regenerate incinerated cells. He literally goofed on this bro as he killed him. He's like, haha, you can't heal because I just fucking murdered you. That's what he does.
Yeah. And also, he was incredibly reckless towards the end of the episode where he almost roasts Deku if Gran Torino wasn't there. I don't know.
I mean, maybe he has maybe he's nearsighted. You know, maybe he can't see that far, and he's like, he should have squinted, you know, to see Deku, but he didn't. So,
he is very bullish.
There you go. I really enjoy Endeavor. I think it's weird how often he refers to himself in the third person. Where it's like when he's talking to Gran Torino, he says something along the lines of like, Endeavor will handle this, and I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, he's like, NG Todoroki will handle this. It's like, why are you being so fucking weird, bro? Just be like, I'll handle it. This is odd. I'm very excited to talk about this, so let's just get into it with our plot summary. As the fight with the hero killer stand rages on, Midoriya, Iida, and Todoroki band together to take him down. While standing alongside his classmates, Iida learns what it really means to be a hero, and a spark of true heroism begins to bloom in his heart. Did Endeavor totally fry those bystanders, and will Stain end up escaping into the night? Find out in episode number 30, Climax.
That was a great summary, Ron. That was fucking awesome.
Thank you. I'm gonna kiss myself, you know? I feel good about it, okay? I also, like, when we get to that point, we gotta talk about these freaking bystanders. Because, like, that shit was crazy. But I'll give it a second. So, we start off this episode with Iida on the ground. And technically, we start off with, like, a flashback that takes up, like, I swear to God, like, a solid 5 minutes of this episode. But you know what? We're not going to talk about that. It's not like we only got, like, 15 minutes of an episode. But whatever. So we start off this episode with Iida on the ground, thinking about seemingly the reason he's here. He thinks back to the time that he told Midoriya and Uraraka about who his brother was. Like, do you know the Turbo Hero Ingenium? And Midoriya just spouts off a shitload of facts. And Iida's like, haha, you are actually really well informed because Broski's my brother. And he does the little glasses pushback thing because he's super cool like that. And he talks about how he leads the people with his unwavering adherence to rules and regulations, a true truly beloved hero. I think that's kind of an interesting thing that Iida, as he's trying to murder someone, thinks back to the fact that, like, the reason he loves his brother so much is because he has an unwavering adherence to rules and regulations. What does that say about hero society that they, like, seemingly it's within the rules and regulations that you could just murder people?
Yeah.
That's just fucking crazy.
It's nuts, but it also reflects a certain part of society too, I believe, in terms of, like, policing and how people should be governed, stuff like that. It gets super deep, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's often said, like, people will say that My Hero Academia is not about heroism or a child learning to be a hero. It's actually a reflection of society and somewhat of a critique on it. I actually just recently wrote a paper on it for my English 102 class. Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, and it feels like, to me, as these kids are growing up in UA, they're starting to realize that heroism isn't particularly as clear-cut as they once thought it was.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like they're definitely learning that as they go through things. I also think it's just, like, it's so weird that they sweep under the rug. Like, Stain is talking about how like, he talks about at one point in time that Iida is, like, all gung-ho and basically says he's gonna kill Stain, and, like, he tells him to save Native first. That's absolutely true. He needs to save him first. But if you think back to one of the first interactions that Midoriya had with a villain, instead of trying to save Sue at the time, he tries to kill Shigaraki. Technically, they would accomplish the exact same thing, but it's a little weird. Like, instead of trying to, like, push Sue out of the way or anything, he goes for a 100% smash at Shigaraki, which is then, of course, like, basically just deflected by the Nomu. I feel like it's a weird thing that gets swept under the rug a lot, though. So, we're just gonna leave that there. I love Midoriya, but
you don't think it was, like, a natural instinct as having, one for all? You know, like,
oh no, I definitely think
between All for One and him. I don't know, just an
idea. I think it was like a natural instinct when in danger. Like, his first instinct to save her was instead to basically just, like, kill Shigaraki if given the chance, like, or to punch Shigaraki. He definitely was trying to kill him. Let's be real. With the amount of air pressure that was put off, like, outside of that Nomu, he's definitely trying to kill that bro. But yeah, I think in the moment he made his instinct took over and he tried to just punch Shigaraki. But I'm just pointing out the fact that I think it's weird. Not that I think he acted like as a poor sport, like it wasn't a hero thing to do to try to punch him. I just think it's weird that that's swept under the rug when it comes to My Hero Academia.
It's kind of strange, but it was a split-second situation where it was life or death in a way. So I guess, I don't know, just...
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the thing I'm bringing up is the same thing that you brought up in the entrance exam, is that, like, people can die just willy-nilly in this society, and no one seems to give a shit about it. Like, it's really odd at times.
It's kind of messed up, yeah. Yeah, all those piles of bodies at the stadium as well, like, are being neglected.
Yeah. There's a bunch of dead people still in their seats. They're like, we'll get back to you, in a couple arcs. 100% people died during that battle. That's just
under
crazy.
blocks of ice.
Yeah, blocks of ice, just random meteors falling from the sky from Uraraka. Like, there's so much shit that you're like, in what world did people not die? It's just crazy. But moving on, so like I said, we're at the moment, Iida's thinking back to Ingenium, and we see Todoroki still fighting against Stain. Midoriya is on the ground, having been recently paralyzed. He thinks back to when Stain told him that he needed to save Native first, which is 100% true, and I'm very excited to talk about Stain's motivations in this episode when we get to the end of it, because I think he says some really interesting stuff. But he remembers that, and he thinks about how to remember him to remind him of his crime. I took my brother's name, but nothing changed since the entrance exam, which is actually something that I think is kind of interesting, because this is a difference between the manga and the anime, is that in the manga, Iida thinks back to the entrance exam and even criticizes himself for not helping and only seeing what mattered to him in that moment, while it's not actually mentioned in the anime that he looks back on that moment. So he's like, he thinks back to when he said, I mean, sure, if this wasn't an exam, I would have done the same. And he's like, I've been so short-sighted, only seeing what mattered to me. Like, he thinks back to that moment, and he's like, I only saw that the exam mattered. I didn't realize that heroism, in its own sake, is actually what matters in this. Like, Midoriya got through because he was a hero, not because he, like, focused on doing his best in the exam. Which, yeah, I mean, it ended up just being awesome for him because he got rescue points, but it's just an interesting little thing that happens. So Iida also thinks back to when he was 10 years old and asking a 25-year-old Tensei about, like, wanting to be like him. So it's kind of weird the way that this goes, too, because he says, you too, Tenya, a hero? And Tenya says, yes, brother, so cool. And then his brother responds, a robot? And I was like, what? What does that even mean? And in the anime, he says, you want to be a hero with robot arms? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Makes no sense.
It was literally the weirdest line I've ever heard. I was like, okay. And Iida says, teach me how. After I graduate, I want to know why you're a hero. And I love that Tensei immediately responds with, to be popular. And Iida's like, how base? And Tensei says, I'm half joking, only half. With grandpa and mom and dad being heroes, I've heard that everyone basically expected me to be one too, but it's really pretty simple. People who find a lost child and then take him to a lost child center. I've always thought of those sorts of people were the coolest. He's basically just saying that, like, people who do good, even though they don't have to, they don't get paid to do it. That is, those are the people that he looks up to. And once again, just calls into question why Stain would have attacked Genium, but you know what? We'll just keep going. And I love that it breaks down to, like, during this conversation, Tensei eventually says, like, the reason that he wants to be a hero, or the thing that keeps him going, is that Iida looks up to him so much. And it's like an amazing, it's a moving moment between the two brothers, and I really enjoy it.
Just to highlight this again, I know I say this quite a bit, but Yuki Hayashi's music has a lot of emotion to it. And it really helps it drive these dramatic scenes and helps develop these characters further, in my opinion. And I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had an ear for music as you do and a lot of our friends do, because they'll notice, like, the subtle changes in music, and I totally just forget. I just pass by. I'm like, that guy's getting punched. That's cool. I'm too much of a simpleton to notice.
No, you put yourself down too much.
So now we move back to the battle. Iida's thinking, it's just as you said, hero killer. I'm not like them. I'm a novice. I can't measure up to their standards. He's specifically talking about Midoriya and Todoroki, and he says, be that as it may. And Todoroki's still flinging fire at Stain. Stain shoots to his left side and pulls out his sword. He's totally gonna gut Todoroki. Yeah. I mean, this is some D&D like bullshit where, like, every turn actually only takes like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. Like, the fact that Iida stands up, gets ready, and then shoots over and kicks his sword and breaks it in like a fraction of a second is a little weird, but I do love it. It's such a cool moment. Yeah, 100%. It's an anime thing. It's like charging up a spirit bomb for 6 episodes. Like, it's just an anime thing. Like, time dilation just doesn't exist. It's fucking weird. Okay,
But I'm here for
or it
it.
does exist.
I'm here for cool moments like that. I'm down.
Yeah, 100%. Me too. This is like one of the main reasons I love My Hero Academia's close saves. That shit is fucking dope.
Yeah.
That's why in the current arc, I'm telling you, there's gonna be a close save soon, but we're not gonna talk about it because we're not trying to spoil shit. But,
I would
just
love
let
to
everybody
see.
know.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, just to let everybody know, Chris, as of right now, is current on the manga.
Yes, I am.
That's pretty dope.
It's pretty awesome, and I just read the latest episode too. So, yeah, I'm super caught up.
Yeah, we as of recording this, we got 5 days till the next chapter drops. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, me
This
too.
shit's just getting good. It's just chef's kiss.
It's the best. But I thought the fight was over, but apparently it's not.
Nope, it is 100% not.
Oh god.
So
Oh, God.
Stain is about to cut Todoroki in two. Iida stands up and shoots over, kicks the blade, shattering it. And he says, I have to stand up. Never again will they or my brother leave me behind in the dust. As he kicks this sword and shatters it in two with his recipro burst, which is just super cool. I mean, in Iida's defense and in the defense of him doing this in a fraction of a second, they do say that he's faster than the eye can see during the sports festival when he uses his recipro burst.
And also kind of messes up his leg in one fell swoop, so there's that too. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, he said that his engine kind of turned off, right? After the whole...
The weird like engine lingo for his legs are so weird sometimes.
Yeah, and it's by the way, it's still messed up. Like, it's still nasty.
Oh yeah, his legs?
Yeah.
They look gross, dude.
Yeah.
They're gross. I mean, I can't wait for season 5 to come out so we can talk about that shit. Like, it gets so much worse and it's so much more gross. But moving on. So Iida kicks the blade, and kicks Stain as well. Stain's like, oh, he's fast. And he's like, yeah, I'm a quick boy, okay? I got super speed, but I got jet legs. It's awesome. Everybody's super stoked that Iida got up, and I love that Todoroki thinks about it, and he's like, his quirk actually isn't that great. Instead, he makes up for it with his own, like, physical prowess, which I love that he realizes that right after Stain is like, hey, yo, your problem is that you use your quirk so much. And... yeah, that totally checks out. That he's like, haha, your problem is that you suck. So, Stain shoots back. He jumps back a couple times, and sorry, I'm just like reading some random shit. A piece of his blade sticks into the ground. I love that Stain says that, like, there's no use in pretending that you're some sort of hero now. You can't change your true nature so easily. You're a fake who prioritized his own selfish desires.
I disagree.
A cancer on this society warped by heroes. Someone needs to correct the system. You disagree with the fact that you think somebody's nature can be changed in seconds?
I think it could be changed for sure. Just a split-second decision, you know, like... your mind can be changed by what happens around you. You can change your whole perspective in a matter of minutes, you know? So, I don't know. I think you can learn lessons.
Do you think that happens in real life, though? Like, it happens in anime, and it happens in, like, television and stuff like that. But do you think that, like, there is an actual possibility that within a 5 to 10 minute fight, somebody could actually change their entire, like... basically, like, their entire outlook on life? Because that's kind of what Iida does. He realizes that he's very introspective in this fight, which is really cool, that he looks back on those moments when he took, like, exams too seriously. Like, he was perfectly willing to let, like, Uraraka just get crushed by a gigantic robot as long as he passed an exam.
Right.
So, I'm just asking, do you think that could happen in real life? Not that I'm criticizing the fact that you think that, or that I don't think it.
My viewpoint on something has recently changed in a matter of minutes, so there's that.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So, moving forward, that is a good point, though. That is 100% like a good point that you make.
I love that Todoroki... It's an interesting discussion, so I was thinking, like, what do you think, about that? Do you think you can change your true nature in a matter of minutes?
I think one, I do think that I should say I do think that people can change, and they can change for the better and for the worse. I think it's 100% possible. Nobody's like stuck in stone. Like, I often say that I used to be a total piece of shit and I'm just trying to be a good person. But I don't know if I think it can happen so quickly. Based on like an epiphany moment. But I mean, even Iida doesn't, because Iida agrees with him, and in a moment he says like, no, he's right, I have no right to call myself a hero. Like, Iida realizes in this episode and directly after that you can't really change immediately, but like moving forward you have to reflect the change that you want to be, kind of a thing. So I think I kind of side with Iida when he says things similar to this, where it's like, I don't think that I believe that somebody can truly change in a matter of minutes or seconds, but as long as they continue to move forward and try to change consistently over and over again like Iida does, I think it is possible. But I don't think it can happen so quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that pretty much entirely covers my opinions on that. So moving forward, like I said, Iida's like, nah, boy, he right. And says, still, I won't let him break me, because if I break, then Ingenium's really dead. And I love that Stain's like, you're hopeless. It's like, what? He's just supposed to fucking let you kill him? Like, would you have hope in him if he's like, actually, bro, just guillotine me? Like, what? How is this in what way can Iida win yourself, like, your respect in this moment?
I think he's closed-minded to a lot of things. Like, he's
100%.
decided on one thing, and then that's it. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what you're labeled forever, you know?
I mean, I feel like that's why I keep bringing up the fact that, like, I don't understand why he attacked Ingenium. Because we even see in Vigilantes that Ingenium is a good person. Like, he's not just doing this for the money. He's actually a good hero. That's what he wants to be. And Stain paralyzed him. So I don't understand his rationale. Like, we'll talk about it a little bit later. It's just so weird. Stain's such an interesting character. But as this all goes down, Todoroki shoots another fireball at Stain. He's totally gonna kill him. And I love that Native says, like, you idiots, the hero killer is after me and the dude in the white armor. Forget fighting back. Just get out of here.
So he doesn't even want him to save the kid either? Like, fuck. You suck.
Native is just like,
he's
just
even
let
worse
us both
than
die.
Kamui Woods. What the fuck?
I do find it really odd that he's like, save yourselves, but leave the other kid with me.
That's so
like,
weird.
Why would he not just be like, let him kill me, you take the kid with you? But
no.
I love that Todoroki then points out, like, he's like, even if I wanted to, I don't think that he'd let me leave, because something has clearly changed in him.
Yeah.
And he says that he's all fired up, and he kind of breaks everything down when he says the whole blood type thing adds an element of uncertainty, plus he's got to get close, and it doesn't last long. His quirk isn't what makes him so strong. I bet he tries to avoid fights with multiple opponents at once before the foes show up. He's desperate to kill Iida and this other guy. He doesn't even say his name. He doesn't know that his name is Native. He literally gives two fucks. Like, he couldn't give two fucks about Native. It's awesome. The intel suggests he might be scared off, but far from that, he's gotten even more serious. And I love it. He's like, this insane tenacity. And this is where Iida's like, yo, big boy, can you regulate your temperatures? And this is super weird. I'm going to read this directly because it's such an odd way to say this. So
this whole scene was weird.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. So Iida says, damn, my reciprocating engine's broken. Did that last kick damage the radiator? And I'm like, bro, what is inside your fucking legs?
Is there a plug or something you have to charge? Does it run on electricity?
I don't know. I don't exactly know how, like, a radiator works, but like, what the fuck is inside this bro's legs?
Does he have to stop by the gas station and fucking plugs it in?
No, I mean, luckily he just has to drink orange juice.
Oh,
that's
okay.
his fuel.
There you go.
So it's so weird. He then says, Todoroki, can you regulate your temperatures? And Todoroki says, I'm not really used to my left, but why? And that's such a weird thing to me. He's like, but why? And he's like, I mean, why would I want you to fucking set my leg on fire? Like, what do you think I want you to do with your fire, bro? Like, it's so weird to me that he's just like, I can't do it with my left, but why? And he's like, freeze my leg without blocking the exhaust pipes. And Stain is like, stop interfering. He jumps down and he throws a knife at Todoroki, and Iida just reaches out and takes that bitch in the arm.
Yeah.
That was some super good accuracy. So he takes it in the arm. Stain then throws another knife, which nails him to the ground, which is pretty crazy. Okay. And this is such a cool thing that Iida does, where Todoroki leans down and he's like, Iida, and Midoriya then stands up, and this isn't actually present in the anime, but I do think it is very, very cool, where Midoriya stands up and he says 2 jumps. I'll jump up to use that ice as a platform and hit him again. I can do it. Like, he actually plans out the way he's gonna attack Stain, versus in the anime he just does it.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of cool that he breaks it down first. And
I think it works better with the anime though. We kind of break the flows if we just heard him like think about every single move he does. I don't know.
Oh yeah. 100%. Like, I'm not saying I prefer it this way. I just think it's kind of cool that he does think so in depth about it. But yeah, no, I totally get it. Also, though, how deep? Like, his cut on his leg does not seem
fucked.
Deep.
Yeah, I
so?
actually wrote this. Deku's leg is fucked. His shoe is messed up too.
His shoe is messed up too. His shoe is like covered in blood, but like his leg, I swear to God, it doesn't look that bad to me.
No?
Like, nah, it just looks like he got caught on the leg. And then he's like, I can't hold my weight. And I'm like, how, bro? It's like you got like a paper cut on your leg. Just fucking stand up.
It doesn't look like a paper cut at all.
I don't know.
It's stained in blood.
Well, yeah. I mean, you cut your face, it's going to bleed a lot, but it doesn't mean that it's like the worst cut on earth.
It looked bad.
No, I'm just like, I just thought it was so weird. I might be misremembering it, and this cut might be actually much worse, but I swear it doesn't look.
It was really bad. I wrote it down that it was bad.
Dude, Iida's got fucking knives in his arms. Like, that is an appropriate reason to not move your arm.
True.
But Deku's like, I cut my leg. It's like, bro, your leg's not broken, though.
He still jumps, though.
Oh, yeah, no, he does a lot. I just love the native carries him in the end. It's just so funny to me. But Iida is like, broski, I'm gonna be crazy. So Todoroki, freezes his legs, which then seemingly helps his radiator. I don't know what a radiator does because I'm a dum-dum. Iida grabs the blade in his mouth and pulls it out. What the fuck is that? That's just crazy, okay? Iida's a baller. I mean, he doesn't take out the second blade, which is a little odd to me. He just takes out the first, and then I swear to God, the second one just disappears. It's just gone. Yes, right. Just like Todoroki's blades. Where did those blades in his arm go? It's gone. I don't know. But maybe the fire pushed them out? I don't know. It was weird. That's just weird. But he says, I can fight. Who needs arms? And he says, recipro. He like shouts, recipro extend, which I love that he does like a long jump. He just like gets low to the ground. He doesn't even need to jump off anything, and then just shoots into the air super quick. And he says, they both think Midoriya and Iida are like right now. Iida thinks all basically like he's gonna finish this with his legs, and Midoriya is like my fists. And I love that Todoroki just watches and he's like, "Go guys, go!"
Yeah, like, I love that. I love that moment too.
It is. It's kind of like a campy moment, I'll admit, but I do very much enjoy it. So Midoriya punches Stain in the face. He's looking pretty worse for wear. And Iida kicks him in what would be like his lungs, his like ribs. And then I do have to say right now, gotta break the flow real quick because we have a little bit of trivia. We have an interstitial page in the manga that actually breaks down Todoroki's costume.
There you go.
Which I think is really... breaks down Todoroki's costume, which I think is actually really interesting because his entire costume is actually based on like regulating his temperatures. So his jacket is made of a special heat resistant fiber that are cooling / heating devices in the collar. That's what those little like kind of beads things on his collar look like. That's what those do. They monitor Todoroki's body temperature and automatically help regulate it, all to keep him operating in tip-top shape. His tactical vest is actually also a temperature thing. It says it monitors Todoroki's body temperature and automatically cools him off or heats him up. It's a heater and radiator in one, whereas the previous model only functioned as a heater. That actually kind of makes sense. That he would have one that is both, like the previous one was only a heater because he refused to use his fire.
Right.
So 100% checks out.
His costume still sucks though.
I like his costume. I think it looks cool.
What? Todoroki?
Yeah, I think his costume. I think his new costume looks cool.
It looks really similar to the bloody UA outfit though.
Oh, it does. It totally looks like the gym outfit. Yeah, but no, I mean, I like his new hero costume mainly because, like, well, let me change that. Now that I think about it, this fight is the first time that we actually get to see, I believe this is the first time we get to see Todoroki in his new hero costume, and there's no ice, okay? Where'd the fucking ice go, bro? On the half your body. I still need to know what the hell is up with that. Like, why that just disappeared. It's weird. But his belt, the hanging canisters contain things like water, painkillers, disinfectant, etc. Useful in rescue missions. He talks about in, I think, season 4, when somebody says that he's got penises hanging off his belt. He's got a ding-dong hanging off his belt. What? He's like, that's not a ding-dong. That actually is like a healing salve. And he like opens it up. I thought that was really cool. And he has boots that are equipped with spikes that help him keep him from like slipping off his own ice, which I actually think is pretty cool. But also sometimes he like does ice skating, and I think that's a little weird. So I don't really know what's up with that.
Ice skate.
Yeah, how sometimes he'll like shoot ice and then he'll like kind of skate on it a little bit.
Right.
It's just like really odd to me. It's like you got them spikes so you wouldn't slip on the ice, but then you often do on purpose. Weird. But I guess they might function like ice skates at a time.
Yeah, they probably would. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of checks out. Okay.
Also, I've noticed that his costume is very similar to Endeavor's. Like it's the same kind of blue color. It's the same kind of frame. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe that is actually a plausible, like, also, I mean, the whole ice on the half of his body, that is, like, if it was real ice, that's dumb. I feel like that was just, like, a plot hole or writing mistake. It was seemingly before Horikoshi, like, decided that he has this really, like, temperature regulation is something he really needs to worry about, and seemingly before Todoroki was becoming such a large character. But if you think about it, him accepting Endeavor as, like, his actual teacher, it does actually make sense that his hero suit would change because of that to match Endeavor's sort of style, and that he would get rid of that icy side. Because he is now, like, he is now accepted his fire. He's no longer trying to hide it underneath his ice.
He hates him to death.
Oh, yeah, he hates him. He thinks he's a piece of shit. But he says even in this that, like, he needs to learn from him. I feel like his costume isn't necessarily an homage to Endeavor, but is instead a way of him reflecting the fact that he no longer he no longer will be shackled down by that hatred of Endeavor.
Hey, Dad, I don't want to wear your hand-me-downs. Fuck. Ah.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. If he ever gets a suit like Endeavor's that has the fire, like, going throughout it, that shit's dope. Okay?
Can you imagine if, like, fire and ice went around it? That'd be sick.
That would be cool. I mean, especially if he got like Endeavor's like later #1 suit where he's wearing like armor. That is so cool.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we now move to the side of the fight, whereas just a few minutes ago at Gran Torino's location, where Gran Torino is still, like, this is where he was fighting this Nomu, and Endeavor had just, like, totally fried it. Don't know how he didn't fry the bystanders, but whatever, we'll move on. He shoots more flames at him, and then it turns out that the Nomu actually has an absorption and release quirk. So he, like, shoots fire out in all directions, causing, like, Gran Torino to have to shoot back and stuff, and I'm like, how are those bystanders not dead? Right. Like, this has to be within a few seconds. How are they not dead? But it turns out in the manga, Gran Torino's like, did those 2 civilians make it out? And then it shows them really far away. But I'm just like, how though? How'd they do that? Because like they were so close. That's true. Maybe they do have quirks that allow them to get away quickly. Yeah, I just found that so weird. They're just like gone.
One of the many mysteries we'll never find out.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So moving forward, it's really hilarious because he like tries to shoot the fire at Endeavor, and Endeavor just like swipes it away. He's like, haha, beach. And he says like, but he suffered some damage. His quirk is a joke. He's like goofing on this, bro, which I think is hilarious. And this is when Gran Torino's like, hey, by the way, this guy might have multiple quirks. The Nomu then leaps at Endeavor, does this super gross tongue thing where his tongue becomes like a gummy tongue and starts to extend. And then Gran Torino just takes a deep breath and kicks through it. He just like kicks right through this guy's tongue. Creates a hole and then shoots off the air, like shoots down in the middle of the air and kicks him into the ground. And I love that Gran Torino's like, oh damn, I broke the ground. Like I might be more out of practice than I thought. It's like, damn, bro, you're just like shattering the earth. That was crazy. This fight is really awesome though. I really enjoy it.
One thing I want to ask you: do you think Gran Torino calling him Todoroki instead of Endeavor is kind of disrespectful?
I don't think so. I don't think it's necessarily disrespectful. I think that it has something to do with, like, I feel like he probably knew him when he was a UA student. Maybe. And Gran Torino was a teacher at, like, I believe that, Enji Todoroki is probably similar in age to All Might. Let me look that up. I really want to know how old All Might is.
So you think Endeavor and All Might were in the same class?
I don't think they were in the same class, but I do think it was possible that they were like in school at similar times.
So like one was at 1A and one was at 3A or something.
Yeah, and like Gran Torino would have come across him, and he gets like used to calling him Todoroki instead of like calling him his hero name.
I guess that makes sense.
It very similar to how he calls All Might Toshinori. He doesn't call him All Might.
I guess he's also older, right? So he's like, I don't know. He doesn't have to call people by their formal name because he's the older person. That's how it works in Japanese society, right? So like, yeah, that's definitely possible. I feel like it's not meant to be like disrespectful in any way. So it seems like Enji Todoroki, Endeavor, is roughly around 45 to 46 years old. I feel like All Might's probably around there as well. So in my head, he probably went to school in a similar time to All Might when Gran Torino was teaching there. And he then like calls him that, but that's also kind of weird because like, Endeavor doesn't remember him at all.
Yeah, Endeavor doesn't seem to know who he is, and he calls him like old timer.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. It's definitely possible that he's just like, just calling him Todoroki. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily meant in disrespect.
Yeah. I don't know, I just thought like he's the number 2 hero, so why are you calling him by his real name?
Do you think that, I think Gran Torino could beat up Endeavor, I'm gonna be honest. I think he could do it. No. You don't think so?
No, after that big punch that Todoroki was able to make, or Endeavor? Fuck. That was
you
cool.
mean Prominence Burn?
Prominence Burn, yeah.
Yeah, his ultimate move.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think we've seen everything that Gran Torino can do. He's never used an ultimate move as far as I've seen. So maybe Gran Torino just gonna shake things up a bit, you know? But I mean, also Gran Torino with these massive air bursts out of his feet, he could possibly be a pretty terrible quirk matchup for Endeavor. Similar to how like in the provisional licensing exams, Todoroki and I honestly forget Tornado Boy's name, but their quirks don't necessarily match together that well, and they keep interfering with each other. I think it's possible that Gran Torino could interfere with Endeavor's quirk in a similar way, where he could like push the air away, which would cause his fire to move away from him. But I'm not really sure. I should say that Endeavor's Hellflame quirk is so dope. I love that in this episode, we get to see him make like a fire construct out of it. He makes like a javelin. That was awesome.
Sick.
So cool. But moving on to the episode itself, yeah, right here he does call him an old man, which is really odd. So I don't know. It's weird. I definitely think he might have seen him at UA though. I'm just gonna randomly throw that out there. So this is when Endeavor thinks back to Todoroki running off. Todoroki looking at his phone and being like, "Hey yo, I'm peacing out. I gotta go help my friends. If you run into any other heroes, send them to this address." And Endeavor then tells Gran Torino that like, "Hey, this guy's done for. We will like give him over to the police. We'll make sure that he gets like put behind bars essentially." Seemingly Endeavor's just gonna have his sidekicks do it, which, speaking of sidekicks, Burnin, super hot. Okay, like she's really hot. Just had to bring it up. One of his sidekicks, top tier waifu. So he's gonna leave this to his sidekicks, and Endeavor's like, "I'm gonna go basically fight the other Nomu and totally burn that dude to a crisp." So you'll have to remind me, because in the manga, you actually do not see that fight at all, where Endeavor goes over and fries that Nomu. Does that happen now, or do we now move back to the
It happens
fight?
now, actually, yes. And there's
so he does go and fry that Nomu
yeah, he
right
does.
now?
Yeah, I think so. And he does. I have notes here, so I guess yes, that's when it happened. So yeah, he looked super sick. He was running on walls. He was frying this thing up to a crisp, and it was super satisfying to watch. Also, I do want to mention, and I guess this is kind of strange as well. So I have a question about this. So there's a song called "Just Another Hero" that plays. And it's a vocal version of My Hero Academia, the actual main theme that we hear. And it's sung in English instead of Japanese, which is very, very strange, but very cool. Do you think that's because the show is inspired by American comic books? Because like most anime don't usually have English songs within their animations, right?
I mean, it's possible. I can't say that it never happens in anime.
Yeah, sometimes
specifically because there's a band called like Man on a Mission who often have their songs featured in anime. Like their song Database is the opening theme to Log Horizon, and it is like a lot of it is actually sung in English. So I don't really know. It might have just been an artistic choice, but it is very possible that it's actually like an ode to like American comic books and their impact on Horikoshi as a creator. I think that's definitely possible.
It's a song I definitely put on my playlist to pump me up. So there's that.
All right. Well, I still, once again, wish I freaking remembered this. Just popping back to this again. Endeavor totally kills that person. Okay? He 100%. Yeah. He kills that Nomu.
Yeah. Doesn't
as
even
far
know
as he
if
knows, that's a
yet.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just crazy. And everyone's super chill with it. He's like, you just fried that guy's head? That's cool. And he javelins that other Nomu in the eyeball. It's like, bro, do you not know what like excessive uses of force are?
He doesn't
You're
care.
just like roasting these peeps. That's just crazy. Yeah, he's just killing people left and right, apparently. I mean, this is at a moment where you'd think the Nomu might be people. Like, we don't find out until later, until the raid, where it's like, nah, Nomus are fucked up. Like, you just feel free to kill them.
And we'll find out exactly what they are later on in the manga, so read the manga, people.
Exactly. So moving on to like Endeavor's fight, he roasts that Nomu, throws the javelin, super cool. He totally like fucks up that building, but it's really cool the way he does it when he runs up the wall and just melts it underneath him to give him toe holds. It was awesome. It was so cool. I don't know how logistically that works, how he would stand on it considering he just melted it. Like, you would think it would have to cool to hold his body weight, but you know what? That shit was dope. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. We then move over to... so Endeavor continues to chase the winged Nomu, by the way. We then move back to the fight in the alleyway where Midoriya had just punched and Iida just kicked. And Midoriya's like, bam, I overdid it with my arm probably, but luckily it was not broken. And then Stain opens his eyes, swings at Iida with his sword, and Iida says, I will defeat you this time for sure. You as a criminal and me as a hero. And he kicks him again, shooting him into the air. And then Todoroki shoots a fireball at his face. What?
Yeah.
Once again, this doesn't make any sense because we literally just heard him say that he can't regulate his temperature. So he is straight up just trying to kill Stain. Can you say that he wasn't?
He was just trying to kill Stain. Yeah, he was. It's crazy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, like that fire, that was going to roast him alive.
Okay, I'm glad that you also think he was just straight up just trying to murk him.
Like, I was just like, how did he survive that? Like, his face is untouched, and that's something weird I want to bring up, actually. It's just like, he's being hit left, right, and center, but he doesn't seem like he's affected. There's no blood pouring out of his mouth, there's no gashes, there's nothing. It's just like, he just looks normal, I guess, until, like, his body breaks. But, like, that's just, it's just weird to me. Like, he's resilient because of his resolve, I get it, but like, wouldn't you see something physically happening on his body, like on his face, like bruises or anything? No.
So in the anime they avoid his face a lot when they show this kind of stuff, but in the manga he does have like what seem like burn marks on his face. Like sorry, I just hit my mic. But you would assume that we would see more blood. That is absolutely true because he just got punched in the face and like
5 times
kicked in the side. Like, yeah, you'd think that it would obviously do a lot more damage to him, but I was see that he has some burn marks.
That's the reason why I kept thinking, like, does he have a second quirk or something? Because like, he's so resilient. Like, it's kind of insane.
I think the idea of it is just meant to be his tenacity and his willpower.
Okay.
Is the reason that he can keep going. But it does show some damage on him, especially later when he kills the Nomu and it does a close-up on his face. You can see the burn marks on his face. So there's that. Like, it's somewhat visible, but I do think that it should be like a lot worse. And to like back you up there. So Todoroki totally tries to kill Stain, fries his face. He just goes for the face too, by the way. Just the face. Not his body, not that, just his face. He tried to kill him. Todoroki then uses his ice to like shoot it up and catch Deku, Iida, and Stain. I for a little while thought it was weird that Todoroki switches between his fire and ice so quickly in this alleyway, where later on he actually has to work on his time limit, and that's like what he does in the forest training arc, is tries to like regulate this water to then like make his times a little bit quicker. And that's like a problem for him, is that he can't use them both at the same time. But I don't really find an issue with it because I don't exactly have the data currently on how fast he switches later, but when we eventually get to that arc, the like forest training arc and the provisional licensing exams, if I do see Todoroki use his shit a little bit too quickly, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm just warning people.
I will say this. I think in the earlier seasons, Horikoshi isn't that consistent with his fight scenes. But as the series continues to develop, I think it becomes more clear, like, with the choreography and exactly what exactly is going on screen or on the page.
Yeah, I feel like he realizes ways to make more, like, get more depth in these characters and actually give fights stakes. So he then, like, implements things a little bit later on, like Todoroki's, like, kind of issue with timing between the two quirks, which later, like, even in the provisional licensing exam, we see him use both his quirks at the same time, but he has to be entirely immobilized to do so in the fight with Gang Orca. So I'm interested to see how quickly he does it then, because if it's too slow, I'm gonna be annoyed. I said earlier if it's too fast. If it's too slow, I'm gonna be annoyed because he does it so fast in this fight scene. Yeah. It's crazy. But everybody starts to fall. He uses the ice to grab them all. I love that Iida and Midoriya just smack their heads, and Stain gets caught on it. And I love that Todoroki's ready to keep fighting. He's like, get ready, he's gonna come after us, kind of a thing. And it turns out Stain is done. And something I did want to bring up is a difference between the anime and the manga, because it's something that I wondered. If you're thinking why Todoroki, like, decided to tie Stain up instead of just freeze him, in the manga, Todoroki actually says if I keep him on ice, he'll probably shatter his own body the second he wakes up. So that's why he doesn't freeze him. He's afraid that, like, seemingly frostbite will get to him and he'll break his own body unintentionally when he wakes up. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that. So they then tie him up, and Native gets up, puts Deku on his back, because for some reason his leg is so fucked up he can't walk. And we then have everybody moving along. I like the little conversations between Todoroki and Iida, where the Iida or Todoroki's like, even in a 3-on-1 fight, we just barely won because he screwed up. He probably got so mad that he forgot about the effect wearing off on Midoriya, and with Iida's final recipro, he couldn't react in time to Midoriya's movements. And I love that the second that they exit this freaking alleyway, Gran Torino sees them and just kicks Midoriya in the face. He just boots him. That shit's so funny to me. Their dynamic is so hilarious. He boots him. He's like, why didn't you stay on the bullet train? And all of these other heroes show up, which I don't know who any of them are. I'm going to be honest. I didn't do the new heroes featured or anything because they didn't fucking do anything.
No, they didn't.
Like, that's just what's up.
They were just sitting there looking
plus, pretty. I have no idea what their quirks are. I do believe that some of them actually show up later in the war arc. Specifically, this guy that looks like a scarecrow, like a patchwork hero. I swear to God, he shows up. I don't know about the others, but I know he does.
Do you think Horikoshi keeps this, like, big encyclopedia of, like, heroes he's ever drawn? And he's like, oh, I'll pick that one for today. There he is. Okay, there she is.
Maybe. I think at times he probably just, like, improvises. He creates characters that he thinks look cool. Yeah. And then other times he has, like, staples. Like, there's this one hero that is always at UA events and stuff. No idea who the fuck he is. He just, like, has purple glasses on and blonde hair. I'm like, who are you?
He's going to be the most important character.
Maybe. He's gonna be the freaking Gildarts and Fairy Tail. He's just gonna show up and have crash magic, and you're just like, where the fuck were you? Like, yeah. That shit's... literally, this guy shows up all the time, and I'm like, who are you? He even was at the USJ.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who are you? Yeah. It's weird. He's like baseball glove guy. Who the fuck was that? Whatever. Moving on. The heroes realize that Stain is just chilling on the ground. They're like, ah, man, got beat up by a bunch of kids, you little bitch. And this is when Iida says, I was so blind, I lost sight of everything. And this is where I want to talk about something that I really got to talk shit, okay?
Yeah.
This is when Midoriya says, I'm sorry too. I couldn't tell at all that you were so upset about it, and I'm supposed to be your friend. You couldn't tell at all he was upset about a villain literally paralyzing his brother.
Okay, so slightly in defense of him, because I think he's a dumbass, But
I think he's a dumbass.
just the thing on the other side of it. He hasn't really talked to many people. He's very socially awkward. He probably doesn't pick up those cues, But
doesn't pick up the obvious that someone
It's
in
fucking
life
obvious,
would be
though.
fucking
Yeah, it's true.
torn
It's true.
apart by the fact
It's
their
true.
brother just got paralyzed.
yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly.
This moment just annoys the shit out of me. I didn't realize you were so upset about it. How would you not, bro?
It's so stupid. It's so
His
stupid.
brother got stabbed through the fucking spine. Like, I hope Iida, like, retorts sometime later on where, like, at Midoriya's mom's funeral or something, he's just like, man, didn't realize you were so upset about this. And Midoriya's just like, how would I not be upset, bro? Like, how not? And then Iida's like, well, fucking season 2, when you were like, hey, your brother got paralyzed, fucking get it past it. It's just so weird to me that he says that. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So dumb.
You gotta think, did Aizawa also think I didn't think you were this upset about it? This is like, bro, really? Really? God, I hate it so much. So Todoroki then is like, shut the fuck up, get it together. You're class president, aren't you? He just like shits on him.
One thing as well, I guess, like something else I brought up like last week was that maybe you thought too high of him to be, to if you thought he had enough resolve to figure that out, I guess, by himself. But nah, he's definitely still a dumbass.
Bro, if it, like the wording he uses is, I couldn't tell at all. He had literally zero semblance of an idea that you were so upset about it.
Of course he knew, though. That's such a dumb line. Oh no, fuck. I don't know, man.
This is literally the worst I've ever felt about the dialogue in My Hero.
Yeah, that's like the worst line in the show so far.
This is worse than the fucking headbands. I swear to God. This like almost ruined the episode for me. I was like, are you serious right now? Like, no fucking joke. You couldn't tell?
I'm guessing Horikoshi was going for like, yeah, he's socially awkward, so yeah, he probably didn't pick that. But like, come on, dude, that's obvious, isn't it? Come on.
Yeah, I just love how you're like, in defense of Deku,
I can't
he's
defend
a dumbass.
No.
Yeah, it's so bad. But
dumb 15-year-old kid.
Midoriya then is like, in truth, the whole battle only lasted about 5 to 10 minutes, but to us, the experience felt a whole lot longer. And this is when the Nomu, the winged Nomu, starts to swing in. Not Endeavor. Gran Torino's like, everybody get down. And then the winged Nomu specifically grabs Midoriya, which I think was actually kind of like an interesting little snatch there. Because like Midoriya is one of like the scarecrow guy, literally right next to Midoriya, taller, easier to grab, doesn't even go for him.
You don't think Shigaraki directed that?
No, not even a little bit.
No, because he seemed pissed off that he didn't pick him up and wreck his day. I don't know, because he was watching over.
Well, he's pissed off that Stain killed the Nomu.
Right.
He's not pissed that the Nomu like lost Midoriya. Like I just think this moment's like kind of odd that he specifically snatches Midoriya. Maybe it's because he looked like a bunny. Maybe that's it. Like his animal instinct just popped in there and he's like, he looks like a rabbit.
Hey, there's a lot of blood there in his leg. I'll go and get that because he seems, I don't know, prey, I guess. Seems like prey.
Yeah, he's like, this little kid just got his ass beaten. Even though Iida literally can't use his arms. So this broski is just going around with just a hole where his eye was. It's so gross. It's so much more graphic in the manga, by the way.
Oh.
It's so much worse. And also, bro's just bleeding everywhere, gets on this lady's face. Like, that was disgusting. Gran Torino's like, oh, it's too fast. If he gets too far away, I won't be able to catch him with my quirk. And then literally the weirdest thing happens. I would be traumatized for the rest of my life if somebody licked my fucking face.
Yeah. Yeah.
He literally, like, stained with his fat tongue, licks this hero's face, licks the blood of this Nomu off this hero's face, paralyzes it, jumps after it with this blade that he had hidden up his sleeve, and stabs it in the fucking head.
He took that
kills
sip drip.
it. Yeah, dude. He's got that sip drip on this freaking Nomu, okay? And he's just like, he just licks this chick's face. It's so weird. I wonder if he got her eyeball a little bit. Like he just like licked her eye and she's like, oh my God. Like that'd be super weird. But he licks his chick's eye. He goes over and he kills this Nomu. And I love how graphic it is where he stabs the Nomu in the brain. Like just this exposed brain, which I think it's so weird that I love the design of the exposed brain, but it's like,
kind of gross.
That seems like a flaw. Like it seems like a little rock could like pop off and just like bonk him in the brain and they'd be dead. You know? Like there's no skull to protect it. It's just an exposed brain. Like if they were outside in the sun for too long and they got like a sunburn on their brain, dead. 100% dead. Okay? So like the exposed brain, very cool design. I don't think that it actually makes sense. Well, actually, it might be easier for them to work on since they have the exposed brain. Now that I think about it. Maybe that's why. But Stain stabs it in the head and then rips the blade out of its head, which I think is really, really cool. Once again, just stopping for a second so that we can get a quick breakdown of Iida's costume. Thanks to Horikoshi. In the manga, he breaks it down. He says like his helmet is called the Ingenomete, apparently, which is meant to reduce drag. The mufflers that are on his chest are actually just decorative. He says most of the armor is just decoration under the pretense of reducing drag, much lighter than it looks. And then he says that the boot itself is equipped with a cooling function, also supplements his leg engines and gives him better mileage. Exhaust comes out here, which is like down further on his leg. And I just think it's kind of interesting that like he says that a lot of his suit is actually just like it's just decorative. It's just meant to look like a knight or meant to be an homage to his brother's suit, which I think is really, really cool. But moving forward, Stain shreks this Nomu. It's bleeding everywhere. It's gross. He literally like tears out a chunk of its brain in the manga. Like it's graphic.
That's nasty.
This bro's bleeding.
What the fuck? Really?
I'm not even. I will send you a picture of it. You can see chunks coming off its head.
Oh God,
it's gross. And this is another thing that I think is really weird. So then we move to Shigaraki, and he's like, "Hey, what the heck is he doing? Why did he kill my Nomu? And why are those kids here?" See, he says, "Why are those kids here?" Meaning that he definitely did not know Midoriya was here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He says, so many questions, but no answers. Why aren't things going my way? And he like starts scratching himself. But how the fuck is he seeing them? There's so many buildings and he's just on a water tower with binoculars. How is that possible? I don't understand.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Can you answer that? Is this broski clairvoyant?
Man, this episode was so good. And then it just fucking took a nosedive at the end. My God.
It's just so weird.
It's like, yeah, come on. Horikoshi, you need to end up this arc, please. We want to move on. And there's only 50 chapters left. Oh, shit. Okay, let's rush this. Let's rush this. Let's rush this. Okay, we good. Are we good? We good. All right.
Oh my gosh. So Endeavor rounds a corner and he's like, "Hey, yo, why you all bunched up together?" And then realizes that Stain is actually down over on the ground. And he goes, like you said, to straight up just Shrek Stain. Like, he's gonna try to kill him. Let's be real. But Gran Torino's like, "Hey, yo, don't." He's got a kid with him. And this is where Stain turns around. His mask has now fallen off. And he's looking like Skeletor. Like, his face is effed. I do want to ask you a question. Do you think he was born with that face?
Why do you say that?
Do you think that that's what he looks like?
It would make sense because the whole Horikoshi likes to make villains that are naturally treated like villains in a way, like how they look or what their quirks are, or so that would make sense to me.
Okay. Well, I mostly was just wondering that because I, for the longest time, thought his face was just like that, but it's not. In Vigilantes, it actually shows his origin and why his face is all fucked up.
Right.
It's actually really cool. I would very much, like, once again, I would 100% recommend Vigilantes. It expands on My Hero Academia so much. So I would definitely recommend it. I'm not going to spoil why Stain's face is so fucked up, but just check it out. It's a couple volumes in. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th volume that it actually shows Stain's origin. In a sense, it's like pretty simplified, but yeah, it shows it, which is really cool. This is when he goes on his tirade. He says, like, I'm gonna fix it. If someone isn't stained with blood, if I don't reclaim my hero status. And I think at the moment, like, him saying these things are actually like him repeating what he's heard from heroes. Like, he's judging them. He's not actually saying this. Like, he's not trying to reclaim his hero status. Cause I kind of thought that for a second myself, but I don't think that's what he's doing. He's instead saying these out of judgment. And he says, come, just try me, you fakes. The only one who's allowed to kill me is All Might, a true hero. So this brings up a question for me. Do you think that in Stain's ideal society, he would be able to live? Because he does talk about, like, heroes and villains. In this moment where he says the only one who's allowed to kill me, it very much seems like Stain at the end of his, like, reformation of society believes that he is meant to be killed. What do you think about that?
Well, he is a psychopath, so there's that.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
But yeah, perhaps. Like, he just seems like he wants to go out in a blaze of glory.
But that's kind of like, I just want to know if you believe he thinks he has a place in his own society.
No.
Kind of a thing. Like, he like, at the end of all of this, he believes that he should actually be killed. Kind of a thing. Like, there's have you ever seen Serenity?
I haven't.
So there's do you know what Firefly is?
Yes.
It's like an old TV show.
One season
show
there
was
that
only
got cancelled too soon. Yeah.
Yeah, way too soon. It's so good. Serenity is the movie that came out in 2005 that's supposed to be the ending to Firefly. And in it, the main antagonist is an operative who works for the, like, global government, and he goes around and he just, like, kills people. And he, in the end, while he's talking to Malcolm Reynolds, and it's one of my favorite moments, he basically says, like, I have no place in this society that I'm trying to make. Like, I'm a monster. I'm trying to make an ideal society, and I will die in it. Like, it's truly showing how selfless they are. And I kind of think that Stain is, in a way, reflecting that, like, in a similar vein, that specific thing, is that he's actually kind of a selfless person. And he's not doing this out of, like, selfishness. He wants to better society so that everyone can seemingly have, like, better lives. Like, because, like, the whole deterrent to crime, him being a deterrent to crime, him making, like, heroes more vigilant, him trying to reshape heroes so that they don't just shed blood or worry about their hero status. Like, he's seemingly putting himself through this in, like, a selfless way. So I think that he doesn't believe he has a place in this society, and he wants to die at the end, or thinks that he should die at the end.
Yeah,
to expand on my thought.
I totally agree with that. I think that's a really good point. And we can see that selflessness in a few scenes, in the next scene, actually.
What do you mean?
Like, he actually saves Deku from the Nomu.
Oh, okay, that's what I
randomly,
thought. You said the next scene, and I was like, that's already happened. Yeah, he does save Deku from the Nomu. Yeah. And he could have just ran away.
Yeah.
But instead, he saves Deku. I'm going to be honest, though. I do think that I do think it's possible that if the Nomu picked up Iida, he'd be like, haha.
Yeah,
and
he
just
wouldn't.
like leave him.
No, just
and he'd peace out.
The reason why he saved Deku is because he's a true hero in his eyes. So, in his society, he would be a benefit, as opposed to Iida, who wouldn't be.
Yeah, I believe pretty much the same thing. But Stain then like walks toward everybody, and I love that he just stops in his tracks. Like everybody was basically paralyzed for a second out of fear, including Endeavor and Gran Torino.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that evil stare.
Think about this.
Messing up Endeavor and Gran Torino.
Gran Torino fought all for one, and he was chill. And he fights all for one, and he's chill with it. But Stain just walking toward him with his like intensity and his overall just like his like ideology and everything about him causes every one of these heroes to freeze. That says something massive about Stain.
Here's why. It's because his resolve is in a way correct, in a sense.
Yeah,
you know that's what makes a really truly compelling villain, especially within Marvel comics or DC comics, where the villain thinks he's doing good for the sake of society, and that true horror comes through when you have a villain like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Sorry, I'm totally like thrown off by this one hero that's got stretching arms that I didn't realize before. It's just so weird. I was like, where the fuck did that guy come from? Yeah, no, you're absolutely true. So moving on, Stain then stops in his tracks because he's knocked out cold. Midoriya then says, we learned later that one of the hero killer's broken ribs had punctured a lung. He hadn't managed to lick anybody's blood, but even so, there at that moment, the hero killer was prepared to stand against us all. Wouldn't that be a crazy fucking fight? Watching the hero killer go up against all of them.
Yeah, we were robbed of that. That would have been cool.
Do you think he would have just got smacked? Like he would have just been like, bah.
No, I think I don't think he would have. I think he would have stayed strong.
Okay. I do want to bring something up that I want everyone to just keep an eye out for. If you read the manga, there's a panel where these two ninja-esque like duo brothers kind of a thing are like seemingly either trying to drag off the high-end Nomu's corpse or trying to tie him up. That bro is fucking dead. Endeavor literally says he's dead. He's like, you can't regenerate incinerated cells. He incinerated his fucking brain. He's dead. Like, what are you doing with that body? I just realized that. I was like, what is this panel all about? We might talk about it more in the next episode if it's included, but it's just so weird to me. So that is the end of this episode with Midoriya kind of like counting it out. He's like, we were all like, he was going to fight us. So I pretty much got through all of my weird shit, I believe. I got through everything. So I think it's about time for us to hop into our next segment, and I will let you take it away.
Unfortunately, I didn't make much progress. I'm trying to get back to the swing of things with work. So fitness was put to the wayside, but I will get back to it next week. Or, this week actually. But other than that, Vaughn, who's your MVP?
Man, I'm always like so excited, expecting something crazy, and then you lull me. You're keeping me on my toes, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
My MVP of this specific episode. That's a good one. That's a good question. Also, have you thought about the fact that Todoroki went through that entire fight without getting paralyzed once?
That's pretty insane, actually, now thinking about it. Because
yeah, he's the only person who hasn't.
Like, think about it, like 25 other heroes or something like that faced off against Stain and either got killed or paralyzed. But
to be fair, they also did it alone.
True.
They were seemingly fighting by themselves. whereas he was fighting with other people, and there was only one time that he basically kept Stain from licking his blood with his fire.
True.
The other time, like, Iida protected him, and Midoriya also kind of protected him.
Yeah, but they're also heroes, so...
Oh yeah, they're full-fledged heroes. You also kind of have to think that, like, maybe the reason that Todoroki never gets paralyzed is, one, because, like, that would actually be kind of hard for like Horikoshi to ride around if Todoroki gets paralyzed, but two, that Midoriya's strategy of keeping Todoroki in the back because he has so much exposed blood also has something to do with that. Yeah. But to answer your question, who's my MVP? I would have to say my MVP of this episode has to be, I would like to say Iida, honestly. Because, like, he literally saves Todoroki's life. Broski would have been cut in half if not for Iida. Like, it's just straight diagonal across the torso. And Iida also pulls that knife out with his mouth. Don't know what he did with the other knife, but that one knife, pulls it out with his mouth. He basically, like, I honestly think without Iida's aid in this fight, they all would have died.
Yeah, they would have.
So
there's a lot of factors that would have made them die, like Deku's blood type, you know, or like if Todoroki didn't get the call, they'd be dead. There's multiple ways they could have died in this fight, and yet they're incredibly lucky. And I forgot to mention this, but I loved the look on Iida's face at the end of it. He's like, "Oh my god, it's over! Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! We're gonna die there! Oh shit!" You know, he had, like, on his face, it was like a sense of relief, I guess. And and
in a sense, also the kind of, like, realization that he almost died.
Yeah. And that's I guess that's a critique of mine of the series. I guess it's like we don't really see them get affected too much by this shit. Like, they don't get any PTSD or any problems from what they see in front of them, you know, like the fights, them people getting killed and stuff. They're like, whatever, you know. So we don't really see that side of it.
Yeah, you don't see it often in anime. It's typically depicted in, like, flashbacks where they, like, constantly think back to things, and it kind of, like, forces them to sometimes, like, hesitate and stuff like that. But no, that is a good point. Like, these are, like, 15-year-old kids. Yeah. They got attacked by a villain, and then, like, they're just gonna go back to school like nothing happened and do their final exams. Yeah, like, there's so many things. It's like, what? Like, they don't seem to be affected. That's also kind of why I love that Midoriya has these, like, long-term scars, and at the end of this, Iida does as well. Like, has real lasting effects on them because of it. I enjoy that, but I do think that there should be some sort of emotional damage because of all of this.
I think we're going to see that at the end, at where the manga is at, hopefully.
Oh yeah.
There's no way they don't get affected by that.
Oh yeah.
But that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Will you say who your MVP is?
Oh yes. I have to say my MVP is Iida as well.
Oh, okay. You're just copying me.
I'm just copying you. I'm copying your homework. But yes, I have to agree. I do like the fact that he has a new resolve, I guess. He's learned from his mistake in a way, but he's not completely learned from it. He's willing to move on in steps rather than, straight away, which is a good sign of writing. Yeah. I definitely enjoy that too. In, like, small, he basically takes small, like, practice steps instead of, like gigantic leaps and bounds. Mm-hmm. So I too very much enjoy that. That is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you would like to chat with us outside of the show, you could do so in a bunch of different ways. Of course, at Go Beyond Pod on Twitter, you could chat with us there about the episodes themselves, about anime, or anything else. We will be reaching out to the winner of our Heroes Rising giveaway soon, so keep an eye out in your DMs, and we will hit you up. Also, please check out me on social media, specifically Twitter at Hyde Legion. That's HYDELEGION.
for just all my dumb bullshit. Probably going to talk about ESO a lot because I'm getting back into it. Starting tanking. That's kind of cool. I've decided I was going to take up some tanking. I think it's going to be fun. So please check out my Indie Games podcast at IndiePod on Twitter. And that's the last I'll say about that. Chris, where can they find you?
You can find me at Panwell Writes on Twitter. You can find my written work at The Gamer, Tech Raptor, and the Game Groups. And I might have some interesting projects in the works, and I have one to pitch to Vaughn later on, so keep an eye out for that. It's very creative, so I'm just gonna put it there.
Ah, man, I'm super excited. That is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening, and please join us next week for episode number 30.
But before then, everyone, go beyond and treat people really well, and despite all the world issues and stuff, just be nice to people. Okay, bye.